the art reflects who I am. I'm a business person also.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not just a starving artist. I'm an artist that got into this because I was designing product and just I want to see the things that are in my head come out into the world.
The blueprint to the new world is in our imagination, and oftentimes youth are the ones who are capable of grasping that easier than us as adults.
Oh, that's true.
We get sort of connected to the way things are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got a mortgage, we pay bills. You know, we have reasons to invest in things being the way it is.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone across the world, we are back at the Know Your Rights Camp podcast. It's your boy, Sean Tory, and we have two distinctive, exceptional, radiant men in the building that I have the honor to host today. And we're going to start with our great gentleman to the far left, who's also a good brother of manly deeds, scholarship, and love of man, all mankind. Come on now. Now, this gentleman over here, his name is Rick Williams. He's a Metro Detroit-based multidisciplinary artist, designer, and entrepreneur who has made a name for himself in the words of street art, sneaker designer, and creative director. Rick has built a reputation for his innovative approach to branding, designing, and marketing. And then the other gentleman right here, a family favorite of the Know Your Rights Camp, you all know him as Brandan Bmike Odums, okay? Is an influential visual artist from New Orleans whose work, including large-scale murals and public art exhibitions, and also explores the intersection of art and social change, and particularly reflecting on the experiences of activism of Black Americans. His artistry celebrates Black American activism, political passion, emerging during significant periods such as the tenure of the first Black U.S. president, heightening awareness of police violence and the rise of self-care practices. Ladies and gentlemen, our phenomenal gentlemen today, Rick Williams and Bmike. What's going on, everyone?
Peace, man. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna get a round of applause.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
What's going on, brothers? How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Man, it's great to see you guys, man. And it's always great to get an interview with you, Mike, and now getting to meet this Detroit artist as well that you brought with you today. So, you do murals across the world. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a few murals here in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, you did some murals with the good brother, Mr. Rick, right?
For sure. That's how I even got started here. Yeah.
So tell us about those murals and how y'all got to connect.
Ooh, man. You probably know the story better than me, Rick. I think
It
murals
was-
in the market, right?
Yeah, but prior to that, Brandan and I connected on the
I
internet,
remember.
on
Yeah.
social media.
Just off social media?
Yeah,
No.
I had a shirt.
Yeah.
For the distinct life, one of our tags or running themes is the talented 10th, obviously from
of course,
WEB.
from the big boy. Okay.
And we take that concept of the talented 10th and we look at it to include, a bunch of people.
Right,
But it's people that share the same principles and they want to see our community grow. So that's kind of like who we target and who we speak to.
Right.
So I had a shirt that I did that just said the talented 10th, and Brandan saw it online. I don't know if someone was wearing it or what
I don't
it
even
was.
remember.
But he sent me a DM, and then we had a conversation, I think, after that. And then we collaborated. So I did like a Distinct Life X Project B Talented 10th shirt.
Yeah.
And then that kind of started our relationship. And then it was like we would just talk once in a while. And then some friends of mine started a mural festival here in Detroit called Murals in the Market.
Okay.
So I painted in the first one, and then what I was doing, it was like the first time I ever painted a mural was like 2015. And I painted my first one with my friend Natural.
Okay.
And it was like I had the opportunity to repaint my wall. And they were like, do you want to do it by yourself or do you have anyone that you want to collaborate with? And I was like, man, I want to collaborate with my homie Bmike. So explain, to Rula and Jesse who he was, and then next thing you know, we were painting a mural together.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I think it was because they talked about the similarities between Detroit and New Orleans.
Yeah.
And the thing that resonated with me was, they tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. It was something that I saw Brandan posting all the time, and I'm like, yo, that speaks to the resilience of our city and their city. So it was like we ended up taking a photo of one of the young homies in the city, and we painted him, put him on the wall, and put the saying there. So to me, it's one of my favorite murals that I've done. It was one of the earliest ones.
Man, and what year was that? The guys did?
Was it 18?
18. It was 17 or 18.
17
yeah.
or 18.
And it was just
It's
it had-
still
It's
is,
about 6-7
right.
years
Yeah.
ago. Okay, but
Yeah.
man, making it sound like it's been that long. It ain't that long.
it just felt like a while
It's
ago.
coming.
It was the pandemic makes everything
Feel
seem
like, yeah.
longer
Yeah.
than- yeah.
And it was super organic too. I remember the first day I got here, there was like a little welcome dinner or something.
Right.
And the kid Evan was there with his moms, and
Yeah.
Rick had his camera, and it was like, yo, that's the mural right there. It's like, so Rick snapped a photo of him. And that was,
Brandan went and we got some flowers
Yeah,
or
some
something,
flowers,
put them in
yeah.
his hand.
yeah,
and
so
then
it was
we
real collaborative, real like
love,
just
bro.
responding to the space. Definitely the bridge that made me focus on Detroit. There was a conference here called Allied Media Conference, and they would do a track, like a New Orleans and Detroit track, where they would bring New Orleans folks here for
Right.
this conference. And so I was able to come here a few years. And the whole track was about what was happening in Detroit, what was happening in New Orleans in terms of how these cities were shifting, displacement, different types of investment that weren't always in the best interest of the community, gentrification, all these things. And so this was an opportunity to sort of compare and contrast.
Right.
And that's when I really became, I started to see a lot of similarities between this space in New Orleans in terms of both cities having to be our own cheerleader. You
Right.
know, after so many people say, y'all done,
Yep.
having to realize, we're going to be our own cheerleader. I always joke with Rick, like there's so many Detroit brands here. There's so many like Detroit slangs, T-shirts, and the same in New Orleans. It's like you walk around New Orleans, you see all these New Orleans themed just messages that's about resilience, about what it means to just continue to be there. So yeah.
So I'm so glad not only that you brought Rick and he's frat, but you brought him, and it makes a staple for the camp. And as somebody who I've seen you at 4 camps, right? And it's powerful each time. But for this camp in particularly, bringing Rick and making sure that he's accessible in front of these kids that he's about to see, right? Or that he's seeing, what's the impact you're looking to have with this camp in particular for Detroit?
I think in general, it's about, for me at least, it's about shortening the distance between what's possible in terms of the way it's embodied in other people. And I think Rick is a great example of an artist, an entrepreneur, a person who has figured a lot of things out and still figuring things out. And I think for me as a young person, I didn't readily see those examples. It was a lot harder to find. And so I think that's an extremely beneficial just thing to be proximate to those examples. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the youth are probably going to be familiar with his work and with his brand, but to be able to see him, to understand he represents this space. Because that's the other thing about the camp, which I appreciate, is that, when we go into these cities, the goal is to not sort of be like these folks that come in and out, but to find ways to amplify what's already in the spaces.
Already there, right.
And, Detroit is an amazing city. There's a lot of reasons I love this space, and Rick is one of those reasons, the things that he's doing. And so to be able to have him a part of this project is important.
So then, good question for you, Rick, because you did something that stood out to me. Even I need to see this shirt, the Talented 10th. So let's talk about literature, reading, and even education in a sense.
Yeah.
How has literature and education affected your approach to art?
Well, I think one, good art is informed art. No matter how abstract it is,
Right.
when you get the opportunity to sit down and talk to the artist, you hope that you're getting a culmination of all of that. Like whether even if you look at some of my, I guess, more abstract pieces, when you just see a pattern and you see a gradient, and then you'll see like a speaker. But all of those things mean something. The camo in itself has been something that I've been doing since 2010.
Okay.
And it's evolved, and it really was started to be like a calling card.
Gotcha.
So even when the mural that me and Brandan did, I didn't paint a person. Like, we painted someone, but the background on all of my murals, that's that thread. And even if you look at the product that I've designed in the world, you'll find insole or on the deboss of the pattern. Like, you'll see it in different things when you go back. So the goal with something like that was just taking the understanding that I have of branding and marketing and understanding the fact that consistency is what creates the brand in the mind of the people. And your brand is what someone else says it is, not really what you say it is.
So would you say that's the messaging? That's like the messaging and emotions drawn from I guess the creative space you have for the art?
Yes, that's part of it. You know, that's where you get, like, the art reflects who I am. I'm a business person also.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not just a starving artist. I'm an artist that got into this because I was designing product, and just I want to see the things that are in my head come out into the world.
Right.
So you can make something. I could paint a painting and no one, might ever see it. Or I can take a concept and an idea and tell a story on a piece of product that I'm sure people are gonna want, because we're a consuming nation. So that's how you get to people, and then you learn stories through that. So the education and the literature and what I've read in the past informs. I'm a hoofer, or to the average person, a tap dancer. And in order to be that, you need to study and know what came before you. Why is it this?
Yeah.
I have a problem with how it's been portrayed in popular culture. So you see some of that in some of the art. You see my problem with that. And I might come out with a T-shirt that speaks against something. But that's all a part of the same art, and it's a part of the educating myself. We're all constantly learning, and as artists, it's our job to highlight things that we understand that maybe the general public doesn't get yet.
So then, last question for you, gentlemen. What's the what's the takeaway that you want these kids to get from your workshop and from your art, right? So you could tie this in also to your future projects. So what are those eternal seeds you want to leave?
I like that. I think for me at this point, and I probably said this before, because I've been really in this moment, in this space of saying that the role of an artist is to imagine alternatives to the present, right? And when you think about that as a description or as a descriptor, it broadens the scope of who can be an artist. Because I think oftentimes when I paint or draw or whatever, the response from a person watching is like, oh, I can't draw a straight line, or oh, I can't draw strict figures. It creates that distance, once again, between the artist and the person that is the audience. And so for me, it's like, no, if the role of an artist is to imagine alternatives to the present, we're all engaging in that in different ways.
Right.
And it's required, and it's necessary. We live in the world that's based on all the problems. If we list all the things we want to change in the world, all the things we want to alter or dismantle, it's all the product of someone else's imagination from a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're still navigating someone else's imagination. The thing that's going to counter that and change that is a radical imagination. And so to encourage the youth that they have the agency, they have the ability, they have the power to have a radical imagination, that's what's necessary for us to work our way out of the problems we have in the world. And so hopefully the session that we do with the youth tomorrow walks them through that radical imagination, shows them an example through my story of radical imagination, shows them an exercise where they explore their radical imagination, and then show them how it connects to real world moments. And so that's the goal.
For them to discover they're talented.
Yeah, it's just radical imagination is a measurement of, like, the blueprint to the new world is in our imagination. That's what I put on the mural in Tampa. That was in collaboration with Know Your Rights Camp. It was
right.
The blueprint to the new world is in our imagination. And oftentimes youth are the ones who are capable of grasping that easier than us as adults.
Oh, that's true.
We get sort of connected to the way things are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got a mortgage. We pay bills. We have reasons to invest in things being the way it is.
Yeah.
Even if we don't like it, but we're still connected in ways that we might not want to admit. Youth are still able to see it completely from the outside and say, you know what, this is whack. This needs to change.
This needs to change, yeah.
This needs to be different.
Yeah.
And so investing in that part of them, when there's so many spaces that tell them just how to behave in the way things are,
Right.
this is how you behave in the status quo. This is how you behave. And unfortunately, that's how we survive. You know, a lot of the conversations we have with youth is about this is how you survive in the status quo. This is how you stay alive. This is how you maintain yourself. But art allows you to say, okay, what if the status quo didn't exist? What if we rethink this entire thing? What if we use our imagination to say, you know what, it doesn't have to be this way. Police don't need to be killing kids.
Yeah.
We don't need to be trying to figure out what to eat because things aren't available for us that's healthy. Yeah. How do we imagine something completely different? So hopefully this session allows them to just exercise that a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, I think it was beautiful what you said. It makes me think even as an adult. And one of the things that I had a conversation with one of my professors was we want to shake the system. We want certain things to change. But then that also addresses the question to you, are you willing to give up what you privilege from the same system that you don't want to be part of?
Yep.
And sometimes we're not, most times we're not willing to give up what we privilege from. Even when when we're the oppressed ones, we still have a privilege in the system that we're oppressed from. It's crazy. But I love that because it makes you ask that question, are you really ready to give that up?
Or just, I think ultimately it's like this, the agency you have to say, what if, you know, and sometimes even that as a starting point is profound enough to, I think oftentimes, and I think as James Baldwin said, we live in the sunlit prison of the American dream. And it's like, sometimes we think our goal is to hand out keys. Is to be like, all right, here's the key, here's the key, here's the key, here's the key. I feel like the role of an artist sometimes is just to shed light on the prison. Yeah. It's to say, hey, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. And to know that the person has the agency, the courage, the power to figure it out how to get out themselves. To figure out, it's like, oh, this is the cell that I'm in? Yeah. Bet, I'm out here tomorrow. And that's the kind of approach that art gives you. It's not so much as saying, okay, here's the blueprint, here's the key. It's saying, hey, look at what it is. Use your imagination and get out because I know you can. Yeah. And that's a part of it when you think about radical imagination. It's like, yo, y'all got the answers. Yeah. Like, y'all don't need me to tell you what to do. You just need to have a better understanding of what the scenario is, what the status quo is, and what the, you know. Mm-hmm. And so that's a part of it that's really exciting with the, every chance I get to work with young people, that's what gives me the excitement to continue. It's like, yo, y'all figured it out. Y'all got this. Yeah.
And that's what keeps it, because I see that each time you do the camp. It's like, every time somebody, and when I say they line up, they line up ready to tell you.
Right, yeah. So when they show you,
they're going to show you. So when they tell me that the kids don't know, don't sit here belittle them. They know what they talk. They know what they see.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, we learn by watching.
Yeah. For sure.
I have 2 children, and in our house, we believe that, first, I believe that my job is to be able to inspire my wife, and then me and my wife can inspire our children, and then we can go out as a unit and inspire the world. Mm. And that's our job. That's how the Most High set it up. That's why there is a family. That's all of that. And I think that every time we get a chance to be in front of students or anybody and present our story, we've both done things that are not normal. Yeah. And done things that I didn't see coming up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even as an example, it came through my faith that I was able to do some of the things that I've done. Mm-hmm. So I like to make sure that when I have the opportunity to talk to someone and let them know that things are not impossible. It's if you believe in it, and people are gonna tell you can't do it. When I first started designing shoes and trying to do things under my own name, everybody told me, well, you're gonna have to probably do more joints before you get yours. But at the end of the day, they didn't know what knowledge I had and what angle I was taking. Understanding the value that I'm bringing to the company. Because a lot of times we come to the company and act like they're doing us a favor.
Right.
But we are the sauce. So my job is to empower the people that look at me through that inspiration. And that leads to the radical imagination. Because if you can see someone that's made it to here, you can imagine that you can make it here.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how it works. You know, once you do one thing, when I started designing shoes, it was one thing. And now you have people like Joe Fresh Goods. And these are my guys. But they've been able to take and see things that I did first and then build on it. So I just know that I'm grateful for being able to even be in the position to do that. But then every time I'm in front of whoever it is, if someone gives me a platform or an opportunity to share, that's what the mission is.
Well, gentlemen, man, I always hate closing this episode with y'all, man. It's always a good episode with you. Good Lord. But I want to thank you both because
Thank you.
there's so many gems, so many jewels that y'all dropped today that I pray that our youth learn from your workshop and that the adults also see for themselves, because you're right. Most times people submit to the fact that, oh, we're replaceable. You're not replaceable. That's why you are you. That's why you have art. See the vision. Now you have a choice to decide what you want to do with it. So I want to thank you both for coming on to the Know Your Rights Camp Podcast Detroit 2024.
You hear me?
Deeply appreciate y'all. And everyone, thank you so much for watching. Ladies, gentlemen, everybody who's here, make sure you please follow our social handles, Your Rights Camp. That's on our social media platforms. And if you want to, please go ahead and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Know Your Rights Camp, right? And if you please want to learn some more information about the Know Your Rights Camp, please visit our website, knowyourrightscamp.org. Please drop a donation for us. Thank you so much. Y'all be blessed. We'll catch y'all next time.